Listen, we haven't played all the games. That's what Steph does.
Says the least. Yeah, that's what Steph does.
But we are ashamed of a few that we haven't played, and so I think it's time we talk about it.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. We're going to be talking about games that we feel like we should have played. You could say we're ashamed we haven't played these classics that we need to play. Most of these games are of the older fashion.
Yeah, and we want to play these. These are games that, like, you know,
at least once, right?
Yeah, there's a good mix of things of, like, some of them are, you know, examples of maybe mechanism things that aren't typically our jam, but like there's some classics there that people, you know, swear by and we should maybe use them. There's other ones that we have no excuse whatsoever for. We just should have played them by now.
Yeah.
And we all say that in jest. Of course, there's no actual shame here. We've played the games we've played, but there are some great games that, you know, I would love to play that aren't simply a fact that we haven't played them because they're from this year. It's like, no, they've been around. We just haven't gotten to them yet. So let's talk about them right now. So what you're going to see on the list is a couple of social deduction games. The first one is going to be Battlestar Galactica. This is one that a lot of our friends really enjoy. They redid it with a new theme of kind of Cthulhu stuff with Unfathomable. But BSG, of course, is a very famous show that a lot of people really love. And in it, there's this whole thing of these Cylons, and you don't know who's real, who's not on your side. And so it makes for a really good setting for a social deduction type game where you're trying to find, you know, the hidden traitor or traitors in the game. You're going around playing the kind of famous characters from the show. This is one that obviously is very highly rated, well loved, you know, got a great IP to it and stuff. And again, this is one that, like, so many of our friends in particular love this game and have wanted us to play it. And like, social deduction hasn't always been our go-to, but this one, I think the game that's around the social deduction element, I think will be really fun. And I think that for us, that kind of hooks us in. So Battlestar Galactica, BSG. On the further ashamed, you know, side, since we're talking about that, I also haven't seen the show. So it's like, I got some homework to do. I should probably start there, watch the show, and then immediately go play the game.
Number 9 is going to be Kemet. Kemet is, like most things on this list, a relatively classic game. There's been a couple different editions. I think Kemet Blood and Sand, I think, is like the newest one or whatever. But nonetheless, Kemet has been around for a while, and this is a classic area control game set in Europe where you're basically trying to get to 8 victory points, I believe. And I think like a long game is like 10 or more victory points. But you're trying to get to 8 victory points. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that in the game. Like I said, it's an area control game where you have a big old map. You're set in Egypt, and you're going to be taking actions in your kind of like little player board. You're getting like prayer points. You can like recruit troops. You can like move troops. You can upgrade pyramids. And one thing I've always been intrigued about with Kemet is literally just like the fact that they really effectively use D4s in this game, because again, it's set in Egypt, and so of course there's pyramids around the border. You can control those pyramids, and having control of those pyramids matters because I think they're called power tiles, which will give you, again, ongoing powers of that, but very often you need a certain color and level of pyramid to get these power tiles, amongst other things. And so these pyramids are really, really important, but it's really cool because what they use for pyramids are just D4s, which are literally just pyramid-shaped dice that do not roll very well, but they're really, really good as placeholders like this, and they have 4 sides, and so there are 4 levels of pyramids in the game. It's really, really cool, and I've just always really enjoyed the thematic tie-in between using D4s and this game. I just think it's very, very cool. I just said it's like not a huge part of the game, but I don't know, I've always been intrigued because of that. But in this game, you can get creatures that will like fight for you. There's all these different kinds of cards. Like I said, you're racing to 8 victory points. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do that. This is one of those games that, like, area control games are never my favorite kind of games, but this is kind of like El Grande. I've played El Grande before, and it was one of those, like, just such a classic area control game that I'm like, even though area control games are not my favorite, I really feel like I need to play this game. And Kemet is also one of those. I don't know if I'll play the new one or the old one. Let us down in the comments what the difference is, and like if we really should just only play the new one or something like that. But nonetheless, Kemet is something that's always been on my mind because it just looks cool. I like the Egyptian theme, and it's just one of those classics.
Next up is going to be Caylus. This is a great kind of worker placement game where you are going to be building buildings that are sort of going to shape the game as you go. The types of buildings will kind of dictate the actions available to you. It's a worker placement game ultimately. And you are going to be building and upgrading buildings. Other players might come then use your buildings, which will benefit you, of course. And then everything's going to be built along this kind of road. There's going to be a provost that's moving around and stuff that might block out certain actions. So that's been the thing that I think has held us back from playing this, is we hear like it can be confrontational, it can be mean in the way that you kind of control what people have access to. But like Caylus has just been around for a while and well loved. And it's just one that like, you know, more and more as we kind of get deeper into the hobby, I want to kind of look back to, you know, games that helped kind of usher in, you know, mechanisms and stuff, these kind of like milestone moments. Caylus has been one that, like, again, a lot of people have recommended, suggest we play, and this is one that I feel like we can handle the little bit of kind of conflict and jockeying for position and stuff like that in the game. I think it's something that now we would actually really enjoy, and so I think it's time we give it a go.
Look, I've never played Go. And that made me seem like, not that Go is like the most popular game. I mean, it is a very, very popular game, but Go is not like a board game like, you know, I talked about Kemet last time, right? Like Go is an abstract strategy game along the lines of something like chess or backgammon or something like that. This game was invented like 4,000 years ago in China, and it's a game based on a grid, and that grid can change depending on, I guess, the version of Go that you're playing. But it's a 2-player game. There are white and black stones, and you're basically trying to gain territory and capture each other's, I guess, units. You try to capture each other's stones. And basically, at the end of the game, you will count all of your territories and then lose points based off of your troops that have been captured, and then whoever wins is going to win. This is one of those games that's like very, very simple, but is like a lifestyle game along the lines of chess, and even more simple than chess because there's not like different pieces like there are in chess. It's just these stones, but there's tons and tons of tactical strategy and positioning and all that different kind of stuff. But like I said, you're gonna get points for a territory. So a territory is basically an area of the board that is surrounded by just your stones. So if there's like a corner of the board, there's like 4, you know, a little 2x2 grid, and my stones are around it like this. There's no like white stones if they're in there if I'm playing black. That then is my territory, and I'm going to get points for all of those spaces on there. And so you're positioning your stones around, trying to gain these territories, but you can also capture each other's stones, and you do that by completely surrounding them orthogonally. So basically, I think it's called liberties, but basically, when you place a stone, the 4 sides around it are those spaces, and if you get completely surrounded on all 4 sides, they will then capture that stone, and again, that'll be -1 point for you at the end of the game. This is one of those games that, like, I honestly should just play once. I don't think I'll be very good at it. I'm not very good at like very high strategy, abstract strategy games like chess, but it's just like, it's so simple that I just should play it at least once, and I somehow haven't. And so someday, if I ever come across a copy of Go, or not even a copy, I guess it's just a grid and stones, right? Nonetheless, someday I need to play Go. It's one of those games I'm gonna get destroyed by whoever I'm playing against, but like, it's just, you gotta experience it at least once. It's one of those, take 2 seconds to learn, a lifetime to master. It's just a classic. Literally, it's like 4,000 years old.
I mentioned social deduction earlier, and the next one is Blood on the Clocktower. This is, I think the crowning achievement of kind of social deduction type games. Where you're sitting around in a big circle, you have someone leading, the events of the game. Everyone has different roles and abilities. You're trying to figure out who's a demon, who's not, and things like that. And what I am intrigued by Blood on the Clocktower is, when we were in college and stuff, we played Mafia, we played One Night Ultimate Werewolf, was like a before we even truly board gamers game that we would play. This kind of concept of like, who's a villager, who's a bad guy, type game is not new, and I feel like Blood on the Clocktower seems to have really put it into its kind of best, most final form. Having the kind of the central person who runs everything, kind of tracks everything, keeps the game moving. Every convention you go to, if you go to a BGG con, and you should, you will see just little groups of circled up chairs all over the place with people playing all evening. I see people go from one game to the next game to the next game to the next game late into the evening and stuff. And so this is one where I'm like, okay, so many people love this game so much. This is not an accident. This is for a reason. And so I think that going into this kind of best, most, well-constructed version of this kind of social deduction game, I think will be the way to go into it. Because again, it's not something that I typically gravitate toward, but I've just seen and heard so many people have amazingly fun experiences, and I love like walking by them and seeing people play, because it's just joyful. So I'm like, I think I need to I'm weirdly like nervous about it, and I don't think I need to be. So I just need to get over that and get this game played, because I don't think it's an accident that so many people are so all in on it.
Number 5 is one of those games that, like this whole list, but like this one particularly is like, it's just weird that we haven't played it, or at least I haven't played it, and that is For Sale. I've never played For Sale. And again, some of these games are massive, big games. And it's like, man, I haven't played Kemet. That's crazy. But Kemet's a big, long game, right? For Sale is a filler game. Like, it's a little filler game. It's not expensive. I've seen it at stores. For some reason, I've never bought it. It's just very, very odd that I never played For Sale. For Sale is an auction, a bidding game, I guess is what it, auction/bidding game, where you are bidding on various real estates, various houses, basically. So there's going to be cards, these kind of real estate that is out there equal to the number of players, and they have different rankings. So it could be like 30, 27, 18, and 4. Those are like the rankings. All of them have a different number on them. And then you're basically going to go around, you're bidding on the highest card, and the first person, like, I'm gonna bid $1,000. The second person, I'm gonna bid $1,500. And then you kind of keep going around. And then basically, once someone decides to pass, when they decide, like, you know what, this is too rich for my butt, I'm gonna pass, they just automatically get the lowest value real estate that's there. So if in this case, if I pass, I would just get that 4, and you get half of your bid back. And then you just keep going around. And then basically as people pass, they're gonna keep getting those lowest cards until there's only one person left on that biggest real estate. And then they will lose all of their bid and they will gain that card. So every single round, every player is gaining a card. And you will do that through one whole deck of cards, which again is all those real estate cards. That's the first half of the game. And then these check cards can come out, essentially these money cards, and it's the same exact thing. You're just gonna flip over, if we're playing a 4-player game, 4 of them, and then you're going to be bidding on the highest one, which is in this case, let's say it's like $15 or whatever. But now you're bidding with the real estate that you won in the first round. So if I had a 25, I could bid there, boom. Same thing, you're bidding, and then whoever bids you're not really bidding, you're all just choosing a card and then flipping them all over. Whoever played the highest real estate card will get the highest check. Whoever played the lowest real estate card will get the lowest check, and so on and so forth. So it's not really bidding in the second round. You're just choosing, seeing the cards, choosing what you want, flipping them over, and then getting what you're getting. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most money in those checks and any leftover money from the first round will win the game. It's dead simple. It's super quick. People love For Sale. And I've never played it, so if we ever see each other at a convention, please let's play For Sale, because like I somehow have never done it. I like little bidding games. Bidding is one of those mechanics that if it's in a really, really big game, I'm not a massive fan, but like quick little bidding games, I really, really enjoy. And yeah, again, this is just one of the ones like, it's just weird that we haven't played it. It's a classic filler, and those games are easy to get played, and somehow never played for sale.
Next up is going to be Tigris and Euphrates. Truly shameful that we haven't played it. It's been around since 1997, I think. Reiner Knizia, tile laying. A lot of people consider Tigris and Euphrates the masterpiece of Reiner Knizia. I think it's his most highly rated on Board Game Geek, or thereabouts anyway. And this is a tile laying game where you are going to put these kind of 4 different colored tiles out onto the shared board, and the tiles are not necessarily owned by any player, at least all the time, and you're going to be putting out your leaders onto the board next to these temples and things, and creating these groups of tiles to be able to then start generating points. And now the thing that's kind of cool and something I really enjoy in games is that there's 4 different scoring, for each of those tile types, there's points that you can get awarded for those types. So there's 4 types of points you can gain. However, at the end of the game, your score is whatever color, essentially, you have the least points in. So you need to be balanced in how you go about building things. You can kind of connect groups of tiles where people have leaders and stuff and create wars and conflicts to adjust and move people out and kind of take over areas and things. But this is like one of those games that, of course, there's been a bunch of versions. There's been like Yellow and Yangtze and things that are kind of evolutions of Tigris and Euphrates, but this one sticks around. In fact, there's like a new version from 25th Century coming out with Ian O'Toole art and stuff as well. So this is a game that is ever enduring for a reason. The new version looks really cool. I feel like it's a good time to hop into it. But yeah, this is one like a classic Knizia where it's like mechanically fairly simple. You're putting out tiles, maybe you're creating monuments and things. There's not a ton of like rules overhead, but there's a lot of strategy and there's a lot of ways you can get, you can get a little bit, you can be a little bit of a scamp in this game and mess with people and stuff. And it was ultimately just kind of laying down these square tiles and stuff. But you can be strategic for sure. And I love that about Knizia's games. And one that I think I'm sure I will really like it. So I think that it's time to, 20 odd, 30 years, however far we are in the future now from when this came out, it's probably time to try it.
Number 3 is weird that we've never played, considering how many other kind of related games around this that I really, really love. And this is going to be Agricola. Agricola I've never played, which is weird because Feast for Odin, Caverna, Hallertau, Fields of Arle, all some of my favorite games. Most of those are in my top 100 games of all time, and yet I've never played Agricola, which is kind of like the OG version of all of those games. Again, they're all different and stuff like that, but like Agricola, those kind of like big Uwe Rosenberg farming games, it's kind of like the pinnacle of it. It's the original one, right? And so it's weird that I've never played it, but I never have. And Agricola, again, is a farming game. It's the most similar, as far as I can tell, to Caverna, the cave farmers. But this is a game where you're kind of given these cards, and that's going to kind of dictate what you're doing in the game and kind of your strategy in the game. And I know that's a big, big part of Agricola, is like getting these cards and then like working your strategy and working your game around that. And a lot of people really like that about Agricola, the fact that you have to figure it out based off of what you get. And it does sound cool. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not sure. One of the main reasons why I haven't played Agricola is because of like all those games, particularly like the Cavernas, the Hallertaus, and like the Fields of Arle, the kind of the more farmy ones. I feel like it's going to be the one I like the least, which is one of the reasons why I haven't played it. And that'll be kind of a theme for the next one I talk about as well. But nonetheless, I still do really want to try it because it is that classic game. And I do enjoy games where you're kind of like, hey, this is what you have. You have to work your strategy around this. I do tend to enjoy that in games. So I think there's a very, very good chance that I'm going to like Agricola significantly more than I thought I was. And so I really just need to play it. There's, again, been like Agricola, there's like an essential version, there's like a 15th anniversary version that's like big, there's now the big crazy one from like Awakened Realms. There's a whole bunch of different versions of these games, and I really got to try one of them.
Next up is going to be a game we actually picked up at BGG Spring as part of their charity sale. This is Mage Knight. This is a game, Vlaada Chvátil, just well-loved game. This is a fantasy game where you are going to be kind of doing, kind of like an RPG with deck building and stuff mixed in. This is a game that can be played competitively, it can be played cooperatively, and from what we hear from many, many, many people, is this is like the ultimate solo game. For so many folks, this is their favorite game to play solo. You are going to be kind of going on adventures, building up your troops, kind of reclaiming your land, taking over part of the kingdom, and this is one that, again, we've heard so many good things about. The setting is really cool. Vlaada's, of course, a legendary designer. And the fact that it can be played cooperatively, competitively, or solo is really cool. That's something that we see more of now, but I feel like was less common a few years ago. And the fact that this is supposed to be such a fantastic solo experience. And in fact, many people recommend you only play it solo, because, it's a big game and stuff like that. But the fact that, it is so good for that kind of experience, I think would just be fun to dive in and just, have everything splayed out on your table, and you have, your cards, the spells you're building, what kind of, again, it kind of evokes D&D, like what kind of build do I want to make? What kind of person do I want to create here? And what kind of abilities do I want to have at my disposal? As I go on this kind of grand epic adventure. It's something that I'm really excited to try as I've been getting more into solo gaming and stuff. Nick has as well. So Mage Knight, I think, is going to be one that once we get into it, we're going to be all in.
Number one is one we've talked about a lot, and again, it's weird because we even own this game and we somehow have never played it, and that is Terra Mystica. Now, kind of like I talked about with Agricola a second ago, one of the main reasons why we haven't played Terra Mystica is because we've played all the other Terra games. So we've played like Terra Nova, which is like the easier version of Terra Mystica. We played Age of Innovation, and we played Gaia Project. We played Age of Innovation, and particularly Gaia Project, a lot. I am relatively certain I'm going to like Terra Mystica the least. Now, granted, I still think I'm really, really, really going to like it. So that's not really a knock on Terra Mystica. As much as it is, it's just a reality, I think, of why it's taken us a while to get it to the table. Mike and I literally talk about this all the time about how we need to just play Terra Mystica. We literally have it, and we just need to get it to the table, especially because we play Gaia Project fairly often. We played a decent amount of Age of Innovation. It will probably be very, very easy for us to learn, and we still haven't done it. But nonetheless, this is one of those games where you are given a faction. In Terra Mystica, you are given a fantasy faction, and all of these factions can only live on one land type. So, if you're like the dwarves, I think you can live on the mines or whatever, on other mines. You can live on the mountains or whatever. And so you can't live on any other landscape. So all of these games, whether you're talking about Terra Mystica, Age of Innovation, or Gaia Project, they're all about terraforming. So basically, if you come across like a forest, you have to terraform that into mountains before you can put your piece there. That's a big, big part of the game. And all of those games have that. And it's just, and again, each one of these factions is going to have powers. They're going to have certain things that they do. And that's one of the, things that people like about Terra Mystica and Gaia Project for that matter, which is slightly different than Age of Innovation, is that you're just given this power and you just have to work with that power. Whereas Age of Innovation, you're getting to kind of choose your powers as you go throughout the game, which is very cool, but is different. And I do enjoy the kind of hey, I'm just this faction, this is what they do, all right, let's go and try and figure that out. I do actually really enjoy that in games. So again, Terra Mystica is one, I think we're going to get this one played very soon because we constantly keep talking about how we need to play it, because it's weird that we have it. We love these games. We literally have it. We got to get Terra Mystica to the table. That was top 10 games that we feel like we should have played by now or really, really need to try and get played. Sure. Down in the comments below, let us know why we should play these ones and some other games. If you think that we haven't played them, let us know down in the comments below, because we're always looking to play classics and stuff like that. Again, it's easy to get caught up in the new hotness, but those classics are classic for a reason, right? Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here, and that's going to be it, eh?
That's it, everyone. Let us know what you think about our list in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next Top 10.
Bye, everybody.